Russet's hair is all over my face. So much for not shedding, you little shit. So I feel like I'm going to be randomly scratching throughout the day. But anyway. Hi, Kendall here. New around here, welcome. Not new around here. What is up, home skillet biscuit? Oh boy. Quan Millz. Mr. Millz is a subject that I just can't seem to escape, it would seem. I may have said in the last video I did in reference to him that I don't ever want to talk about him again, but here we are. So if nothing else, he's good at advertising and getting eyes on him. I can't escape him. Every asinine post he makes, someone feels the need to let me know. And recently he has taken to uploading a bunch of AI covers and asking disgruntled and bewildered onlookers whether or not they would read books with said premises. Just a few. We have, I got both my homeboys pregnant. I got both my alien homeboys from another galaxy pregnant. Pregnant by a werewolf hitter. Pregnant by a DL hotep. A snow bunny succubus got me pregnant. He seems to be venturing into impreg. Not really. He's not making these books. I kind of wish he would make these books instead of the books that he's actually made. I wish he ventured into impreg more than he does massage noir. Pregnant by my boyfriend's shape-shifting baby daddy. Roaches on the motherfucking plane. Pregnant by my demonic rose toy from hell. Gorilla goons and the thick, rich velociraptor baddies who love them. He's going full Chuck Tingle. Again, I would appreciate this much more than the actual garbage that he has written that I have read, okay? Pregnant by the flying chitlin monster. Seduced by the ghetto grape drink goblin. Pregnant by my dope boy zombie. Pregnant by a hood alien. Pregnant by a dope boy named Wendell the Pooh Bear. Pregnant by an ogre thug. We're getting into monster f***ing territory, which again, I'd prefer that. Pregnant by the snowman on 79th Street. And my personal favorite, pregnant by a dope boy named Dracula. You get it? Because he's Black Dracula, but they can't do Blackula because that's already a movie. And as much as the man pisses me off and very aware that he is a CIA psyop to destroy the Black community, these distracted me enough that I ended up on purpose reading another one of his books free on Kindle because I have a free trial right now. So I didn't give him any money, so I don't feel that bad about it. But I did do that. That's how I spent yesterday. And man, you think you know what you're going into, and then you close the book and you're pissed. Like legitimately, this book is a hate crime. It is. He shouldn't be allowed to type. Somebody gotta like glue his fingers together. This can't keep going on. But again, his asinine marketing made me forget how offensive his other two works were that I had already read. And today, this is easily the most offensive one. Or maybe I just don't remember the other ones that well. Today, we're talking about his most popular book, his most well-received book, at least on Amazon, called This Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib. It is a satire, so he says, released in 2018. But yes, I seem to have forgotten how bad his work can actually be, how insulting his work can actually be, until it was too late. I had already wasted a day reading This Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib. But yes, it seems to be one of his most popular works, a classic, if you will. The Odyssey, Great Gatsby, To Kill a Mockingbird, This Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib. And again, for a second, I truly forgot how much I hate this. I was enthralled by the absurdity of the monster thing until I actually went back to one of his books and said, this hates me. Me personally. Because, ugh. This Hoe Got Roaches in Her Crib is a supposed dark satire, dark comedy, erotic drama about a woman who has roaches in her crib. And, you know, I went in thinking it was going to be a disgusting, because Quan Millz' work is always disgusting, like texturally, like you can smell it through the pages, the words, you can smell asshole through the pages. I thought it was going to be like a funny, light, damn bitch, you live like this type of thing. But instead what it was genuinely a demoralizing and sad story that not at all represents the title of this book. You gonna go in thinking you're getting something funny and dumb, and then you'll be hit with, if you read the title, it is not at all some cute, funny, quippy, satirical thing. It's a sordid tale of abusive parenting and unfortunate events. This is Quan Millz' Precious. It's depressing as And that's not to undermine it. There's depressing books that are well written, and there are moments in which he does an actively decent job of eliciting emotion and, you know, eliciting some criticism, particularly for the systems at play that are meant to protect children. But within those very small moments of virtue, he says, this is too serious for too long. I need to interlace it with his humor. And his humor is abrupt, asinine, disgusting sex acts, and misogynoir. Hello everyone, this is Kennie, and today's video is sponsored by Lalo, my personal favorite adult toy brand. Are known for their luxurious designs, their innovation, their premium quality, and the fact that they keep making cute toys with really cool color combinations that I want to wear as eyeshadow. The brand overall really supports my own philosophies around self-pleasure, which is that it's not shameful, it's unapologetic, it's exploratory, it's educational, and it's a great way to learn more about your own body, as well as have better sex with a partner too. And being that that is their philosophy, it doesn't surprise me that they actually show up in Hulu's limited series Dying for Sex, the story about a woman who goes on a transformative journey of self-discovery and empowerment after a devastating diagnosis. Good show, by the way. So I try to bring you guys new stuff from them whenever I can. They have a new one here, baby, that is really impressed. First of all, the color, again, eyeshadow worthy, gold, and what is this, like coral? This is the Ida Wave. Dual stimulation, internal and external stimulation, 10 powerful settings, 100% waterproof, incredibly long-lasting charge, and this one is app connected. So if you or a partner wants to control it via your phone, you can do that, or you can use the buttons on the device itself, but it will have you sounding like Michael Jackson at the end of Remember the Time. This one is meant to build up to orgasm gradually, like a relaxing experience, and the internal part is meant to mimic the motions and the rotations of a finger. I'm gonna make the joke anyway. I was like, I shouldn't make this joke. This is a Lalo ad. It busts. Literally. Okay. So if you would like to check out Lalo, feel free to click on the link down below. Use JD10 for 10% off. Big thanks to Lalo for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on to the debauchery, baby. Dog hair on my face. I saw someone online call him Evil Tyler Perry. Makes sense why I feel this way. I just got new nails. They have cherubs on them, which I shouldn't be doing because my natural nail beds are falling off. This can't be healthy. I have a problem. But for now, they look good. Now, this is the third book of his that I'm reviewing, I guess. Speaking of which, this is the first book I've read of his that has an explicit disclaimer, almost self-aware, yet in denial. And the book opens with a disclaimer saying that this is a book that is of act of satire and in no way reflects his feelings around Black people, specifically Black women. He loves Black women. Instead, it is a satirical fiction that could best be described as a dark comedy combined with social commentary in an attempt to cast a light on the state of contemporary urban pulp fiction. Sure, Jan. And though he presents this disclaimer to seem somewhat self-aware that his work could be taken as disparaging to Black women, it also doesn't stop him from making the entire book incredibly disparaging to Black women. Our main antagonist, main character, is a woman named Frequisha Pierce. And our first introduction to her is her complaining about those aforementioned roaches, those titular roaches. Quote, these motherfucking roaches and shit. God, motherfucking damn it.
You know, when we stayed in them apartments,
Yes, this is our introduction to her of Frequisha, and we learn very quickly about completely non-disparaging or stereotypical things about her as a Black single mother. She is living in Section 8. She has roaches all in her house that eat leftover pizza that she fed to 2 of her 3 kids because she don't like the last one, that she paid for when her food stamps hit. She is described as a 34-year-old former vixen Jackson, who was now over 200 pounds on her 5'5" frame, who thought she was 175 because she hasn't been to the women's clinic in a while, because she only goes when she has a yeast infection, STIs, or a quote, long-lasting turbulent case of bacterial vaginosis. It's satire, guys. Calm down. You're so serious. You think this is black women hating in particular? Girl, what? So sensitive. This is a quote of how he describes her body. Quote, remnants of what was once a thick ass now resembled two steroid-injected brown potatoes lumped together. A set of double D cup drooping titties hung from her chest. With no bra on it, it was visible from the shirt covering her chest that she had both nipples pierced. Frequisha is a heavy-smoking, abusive mother of 3 who is much more concerned with sucking and dick than taking care of her kids or finding a job. She defrauds the government and she uses her children mostly not to raise them per se, but to use them for the government benefits she has because she's raising children. She has 2 boys and a girl. The youngest is the girl. She is a 6-year-old cute little girl named Maya, who seems to be the main lightning rod for her ire and the main victim of her various forms of abuse, including neglect, starving her, beating her, verbally assaulting her, daily terrorizing her, traumatizing her. But it's chill because it's just a dark comedy. She will be a major part of this story. The boys, named, I believe this is pronounced Kimani and Zymir, they are her 2 oldest children, 12 and 10 respectively. And though they are treated comparatively better than Maya, they're still basically only taken care of monetarily. She buys them cool clothes and she buys them pizza. They've gotten quite chubby because of that, which again, Quan Millz loves to really harp on fatness, and this is no exception. This book is rampant with fat phobia. Holy shit. He does not like fat people, and he does not like being fat. If it's just you, bitch, it's your business. If you don't want to be fat, don't be fat. Shut the up. He also associates fatness with amorality or immorality, which comes along a bit later in particular, but yeah, up. Anyway, so the kids are kind of chubby, but they get all the best clothes and all the best game stations and stuff while Maya is abjectly ignored. But all of them are still living in squalor. So comparatively better, but not good. After sending away her 3 kids, the 2 boys go to her mother's house. Her mother's name is Evelyn. And Maya goes to her paternal grandmother, Mrs. Watkins. Frequisha immediately has a MMF threesome in her cockroach-infested dump. A place smelling of an aromatic melange of fishy pussy, cheap alcohol, cigarettes, roach spray, fried chicken, piss, booty cheese, must, hair grease, old hair weave, unwashed clothes, rotting food, and pickle juice. It was the fragrance of abject squalor and ratchetry. Why did we need this scene? Didn't. This is also the second book of his that I've read that started with an MMF threesome. Though it didn't get gay like Old Thought Next Door. Honestly, what a waste. What do you got another here for? If you're not gonna get a little gay, what are we doing this for? The entire time they were going back and forth, the mental gymnastics, what do we do as 2 men having sex in the same room to not make this gay? Very stupid. But anyway, you may ask, why would 2 men, not 1, which would already been wild, but 2 men consent or desire to have sex in a rat and roach infested shanty with spoiled food and pebble shit all over? Well, the pussy was fire. So they seem to have gotten over that for the most part. It was gross, as you can imagine. The descriptions of smells and textures. Ew. Now that we've met a woman in this story, it's very starkly obvious how much more grace he gives men overall in this story. Even the worst men don't get as much ire or vitriol as he seems to for Frequisha, whatever her name is. But the father of Maya is a man named Austin, who is currently serving 2 years in prison, county prison, for parole violation. Austin is from a respectable family that lived out in the Chicago suburbs. And this is to be distinct from the gutter snipe that is Frequisha's upbringing in Chirac, It's a term. I'm not from Chicago. Who am I to say? But it just feels wrong. Despite that, Austin would be the only child of the family that would fall into the dangerous wild world of the streets. He would get into gangs, drug trafficking, and eventually end up meeting gutter butt Fredquisha and getting her pregnant. They weren't planning to have kids by any means, but it was something that just kind of happened. But overall, he seemed to be a father that really wants to be in his child's life. And he was for the first 4 years of her life until he got taken back to prison. When he was on his way to jail, he begged the courts to let his mother, Mrs. Watkins, take custody of Maya because he feared for her safety at Fredquisha's home. But being that he was a felon and she's the mother and she had no record of child abuse on papers, or no one had ever called DCFS on her as far as written in this book, they saw no cause to take her away from her mother. So they said, no, she's going to stay with her mother. But Miss Watkins, at the beginning of this book, while Fredquisha is having a threesome, she takes the child in and she's really excited because this is the first time she's been able to see her granddaughter in 7 months. But she does notice, notably and concerningly, that Maya seems quite thin and frail. And she kind of wonders, has she been feeding her? Like, is she neglecting her? Now, Ms. Watkins has a lot of issues with Fredquisha, obviously, but in an attempt to maintain her ability to see the child and not have Fredquisha retaliate by just closing off all ability to see her, she's decided to stay cordial. But this is really exciting because she's taking her for the weekend to see her father for the first time in 2 years at a daddy-daughter dance at the prison, which is something that a lot of the inmates are very excited about because they haven't seen their kids. And it's meant to be just cute, but also like an exercise of normality and make them not want to come back to jail, maybe give them something to remember the outside and not do anything to recidivate. Is that a word? Recidivism. Hey Siri, how do you spell recidivate? That is a word. Okay. But this is going to be the beginning of various awful events. Well, the whole book is just various awful events that kind of come out of nowhere. And then the story kind of comes to an abrupt halt at the end. Just like incredible amounts of bullshit that led to nothing. But the first minor tragedy that isn't very minor is that on the way to the dance, Mrs. Watkins gets into a car accident, so she can't make it. The jail closes the doors at a specific time because of safety issues, I guess, trying to make sure no inmate like leaves. If they miss that time, they can't come in. She can't see her father. This breaks her heart. She was super excited to see her father. They had prepared her by getting her princess dress and a tiara. She was dressed like Princess Tiana from her favorite movie, Princess and the Frog. Got a good meal on her tummy from her grandmother. They went to go to corral. This is also where she learns more disturbing things around her relationship with her mother. Mainly that Maya does not call her mother mom or any variation of that. She calls her by her first name because Fredquisha doesn't allow her to call her something as comforting and familial as mother because she's an abusive piece of shit. This breaks everyone's heart. Grandma, Maya, Austin. One of the guards finds him like crying in the bathroom. And after some prodding, he says that his kid got in a car accident, so she wouldn't be able to make it. But with the rules of the, prison, she can't come. And meanwhile, while all of this is happening, Fredquisha is in the club, popping pills, finding strange dick to suck, and drinking while pregnant, apparently. One happy thing to happen, I guess, is that the prison guard that saw him crying would eventually ask the warden, and the warden would make an exception that after hours, Mrs. Watkins could bring Maya to the prison and they could have the daddy-daughter dance, and that was cute. But soon this weekend is going to be over, and Mrs. Watkins is expected to bring Maya back to her mother's home, but Maya has these heart-wrenching pleas to not go back to her abusive mother, and so in a moment, deciding to defy the law, Mrs. Watkins decides to take her back home. She says she's not going with her abusive mother. I couldn't have it on my conscience if something happened to her because she's with her mother, who doesn't give a about her, obviously. Now, Fredquisha doesn't really seem to notice that her child is missing for a while because she gets distracted when a ratchet friend of hers named Pauletta or something comes and aggressively pushes her daughter towards Fredquisha, telling her that her daughter had gotten pregnant by her oldest son, Kamari. The daughter was his 15-year-old babysitter and he was 12, and they had been having sex for 2 years. This enrages Fredquisha to the point that she strips her son naked, beats him with a switch, and nearly suffocates him to death with a pillow. So funny. Satire, guys. Whatever. Like, y'all are so sensitive. Like, only stopping when the other child, Zamir, the other boy, finds her doing that and attacks her, and they're both able to overpower her and start beating her to within an inch of consciousness. The maintenance man would answer the ruckus and see the boys beating her and call the authorities. And upon that, there ends up being an investigation on Fredquisha. Mrs. Watkins' grandma had been trying to get something going in regards to Maya because she had admitted to her that her mother had been abusing her. But in a very accurate way, DCFS won't listen to the child that said they were abused because I don't know. I don't know why they won't do that. But with this new case happening and hearing that the boys were reacting to her abuse as well, this makes them kind of listen more, I guess, that something might be going on at the house. So Fredquisha, fearing that there's going to be an impromptu, unannounced search of her home, is freaking out because she still got all these roaches, by the way, hence the title. But she still has all these roaches. And I'd imagine that wouldn't look too great to the social workers or DCFS. So we don't really come back to the pregnancy thing, the little girl's pregnancy. They say in a throwaway line towards the end that she got an abortion. So we don't come back to this, whatever. So while all this is going down, Austin is taking up some faith. He's starting to get involved with the Muslim brothers. And one of the Muslim brothers apparently had something going on with a crooked cop who also had gang affiliations and ends up stabbing him to death. Austin breaks up the fight with the cop, ends up stabbing him, and then is caught standing over two dead dudes by the other police and is shot 3 times, twice in the leg, once in the stomach. Eventually, Fredquisha remembers that she doesn't have Maya. She would call Mrs. Watkins and she says, "Fuck you, bitch. I'm not bringing the kid back. I know you abusive. I know that you don't be feeding that girl. No, if you want her so bad, you're going to have to come over here and take her and I'll blow your fucking head off, boss bitch." And Fredquisha is upset, not because she gives a fuck about the child, because she does not love her, has admitted several times throughout the book so much that she does not. But that's part of her SSI checks that she used on weed and cheap weave and Hennessy. And if that wasn't stressful enough, she starts getting propositioned by the slumlord that owns the building that Fredquisha's apartment is in. And he propositions her upon seeing her roach and rat infested apartment for sex, blackmailing her so that he doesn't kick her out. He says in exchange, he will pay her money, allow her to stay in the apartment, and will get a cleaning service to clean her house so that if DCFS comes along, they won't see all of this. She is very adamantly refusing him at first, but it's not like she has many other options at this point. So she does end up starting a sexual relationship with him, a coercive sexual relationship with him. Gross. Those sex scenes are particularly disgusting because they're played with the same amount of humor, like the grotesque explicitness as the other ones. Is like Quan Millz doesn't see it as assault. So it's just like it is equally humorous as the rest of it is. It feels like, I don't know. But yeah, he helps her out, gives her money and gets the Mexicans to clean the apartment. And in exchange, he wants his ass ate. Okay. But because her house is clean, she won't get her kids taken away. Eventually, police do force Mrs. Watkins to have to return Maya to her mother. But being that she has an ongoing case, they make her stay with Evelyn, Maya's maternal grandmother. Now, Evelyn also is gross and disgusting. Her house also is rat infested. Less so, but definitely rat infested, roach infested. She also has a case with DCFS. She ran an illegal daycare out of her apartment, and one of the kids got sick because there was rat shit all over the place to the point that he almost died. But sure, send the kid over her house. And though the social worker that brings Maya to her house is like, wow, I don't know if I should do this, she does it anyway. She just leaves her there. Awesome. Okay. And Evelyn is really excited because just like her daughter, she sees money signs at the prospects of taking care of this child. So yay. But tragedy strikes. Maya is stricken with a severe case of meningitis from a roach bite, and she is taken to the hospital. She stops breathing and is resuscitated by her uncle, but he's one of the only good people in her family, and he knew CPR, so he was able to get her stabilized enough until they were able to take her to the hospital. But they would learn very quickly that she has lost much of the function of her brain from the oxygen loss, was induced into a coma, and would soon most likely die. Light reading, yeah. Suddenly faced with the information that her daughter might be dying, all of a sudden Fredquisha wants to be a good mother. And so she's going on about how much I love my baby. I don't want her to go. Like, oh my God, what is happening? Oh my God. And despite even those minor moments of clarity, she is forced away by her coercive, she refers to him as like a sugar daddy, I guess it's pseudo sugar daddy at this point, who wants to do butt stuff while Maya has to go fight for her life in a experimental surgery. They're going to try an experimental treatment on her to see what they can do. So she goes to have, again, explicit and gross coercive sex while Maya is in surgery, and they agree to let her go to surgery because they don't have many options left. They're like, yeah, she's most likely going to die, so we might as well try everything. Austin, having survived the shooting, was let out of jail early because I guess they was like, my bad, we thought you killed 2 people. I guess they investigated what was going on with the crooked cop and they decided to let his ass out early so that he can see his daughter. And that is when he finds out that she's dying in the hospital, and he's absolutely heartbroken. He is able to come to the hospital, but she soon succumbs to her illnesses and dies. After her death, Austin is deeply distraught and so angry that he considers killing Fredquisha, but luckily didn't have to do it because apparently other people already had their mindset on that. Months later, Austin receives a letter from the courts requesting that he takes a posthumous paternity test for Maya because apparently Evelyn had sued the hospital that Maya had gotten her experimental treatments from, and apparently she was able to sue them in some way for wrongful death. When you do a trial experience, they tell you, I'm sure you sign a waiver, but that's the least of the issues with this story, and claimed that Austin was not even the father of Maya. Austin is heartbroken because he loves that girl. He's been waiting to see her. Now she's out of his life and he's completely depressed, and now you're telling me she may not even biologically be mine. So he goes to get it. Come to find out, Maya is not his biological child, meaning that he wouldn't be entitled to any of the money awarded for the wrongful death suit at the hospital, which was a sum of $10 million. And so Evelyn's really excited, like, yeah, off. But the judge just says, nah, I don't really want you to have it. You have bad vibes. I'm gonna give it to Austin. Not how the law works. You can't go off of vibes, man, but okay. He starts dating a nurse named Tina. She was followed throughout the book, but I felt no need to really talk about her. Like, she has a whole arc. She's actually the baby mama of one of the dudes Fredquisha was fucking in the threesome, and he's horrible and abusive. There was some going back and forth about whether or not he tried to kill her, yada yada, and like his hoe tried to kill her. His side chick tried to kill her actually, but everybody thought it was him, so he got shot with Fredquisha. Actually, no, maybe Fredquisha didn't get shot because she's an abusive mother. I think she was just wrong place, wrong time, whatever. She did, he did, and they started dating, and they seemed cool, and I guess Austin lives happily ever after. True, his beloved child, biological or not, is dead, but he got $10 million, a new girlfriend, and believes that Maya would make a difference in the conversation of child protection and child neglect. The end. Remember when he said this was a dark comedy? What was funny about this? Several children died. I only mentioned the ones that are pertinent to the main story. There were other child deaths, several explicit child abuse scenes. I guess his attempts at comedy are the grossly explicit sex scenes and Roach personifications.
Daddy Roach Sr. went on to be with the Lord. The front of his obituary read, "Homegoing celebration for the late Daddy Roach Sr. Sunrise May 2018, sunset June 2018. Reverend Dr. Lucius Roachson III presiding."
It can't just be Roaches. It's like Roaches with names. Papa Roach, turn my life into pieces. This is my life. Dr. Roach, Senior Roach, and his wife Yolanda or something, like, sure. But even then, he turned the roaches that led to Maya's ultimate death into a comedy skit because, yep, so funny. Weird. It's a weird ass. I don't know. Like, there are moments in this book that are legitimately traumatizing and triggering to read, but whether or not the scene is taken seriously is really a shot in the dark. Who knows? I don't understand how this man's mind works. I really don't. I don't know if I want to, but this therapy. He has some of the most venomous descriptions of women, particularly their bodies and their sexuality. The most vicious thing he calls a man is like a hood or a deadbeat or just vaguely no good. But he'll wax on for 4 paragraphs talking about every eyelash, every wardrobe, every stench, every jiggle, every cracked black elbow, every purple blunt lip. He'll just go on and on for women. And that's something. The only woman that he doesn't really do as much about in that regard is Mrs. Watkins and the Tina girl, Trina, whatever, the nurse girl that ends up with Austin at the end. He describes her as classy and thin. Miss Watkins is thin. That's how you know she's a good person. To be contrasted with Fredquisha, who is gross and fat and lumpy and cellulite ridden and filled with BV and smells like ricotta cheese. Like, it's giving black red pill. And the fact that I haven't seen enough people say that, this sucks. And I hate that I had to read this book to remember how much he sucks, because the AI covers are funny, but you gotta stay focused. You gotta stay on the hate train, baby. Maybe this will also remind you guys out there to keep hating. Hate is a powerful thing and use it for good. I can't do the shit, man. I mean, I don't mind that I read this one because it was free and I'll make money off of this video, most likely. But just oi. Maybe if I stopped one more person from actually spending money to read one of his books, I've done a good thing. And I just have to take my wins where they are, I guess. Anyway, that's all for today, folks, though. Hate them so much. If you like this video, feel free to like this video. Follow me on all my social media, Instagram and Bluesky, both of which are KennieJD. I'm sad now. I'll probably make a playlist for his shit now because I'll be back most likely. Because obviously I need reminders because y'all will not stop adding me in this shit. So again, if I stop one person from buying his asinine books, then I've done something gross. All right. Peace.